Salon people and then party them. Sahara Media will be bringing you a variety of programs ranging from documentaries to discussions, interviews, news, views, sports, and entertainment. Our programs will contain matters on development, governance, the economy, and issues that are of importance to Sierra Leone. So, no left BNO because we get Beberebe program then like Salon discussion, meets the ministers, the president's hour, and the Gladi program. Look me, I look you. All this they start soon na www.sarahjmedia.org. Now who's tem these?
As we talk about burning issues ranging from politics to the economy, culture to sport, education to entertainment, corruption to the environment, we realize the Sierra Leone story is far from finished. So, Sierra Media Production brings you Zoom In. Zooming In is the program that engages everyday people, entrepreneurs, inventors, entertainers, activists, policymakers, and politicians to discuss and debate issues relating to Sierra Leone. Zooming In digs deep into the issues and stories. Zooming In ensures the debate is pushed to another level. Zooming In asks those questions that has never been asked before. So, join us, host Chumaba.
When I was young, a lot of things were different. Unfortunately, most of the differences seen now are heartbreaking and are not good at all.
Before now, men were strong protectors of the weak, fathers, brothers, lovers, sons. Their mere presence guaranteed the safety of women and children.
But what do we do now?
Men harassing and raping women.
Men sexually abuse little girls.
Men battering and killing their wives.
Any form of sexual assault, be it rape, sexual abuse, or pedophilia, is a killer to human self-esteem.
Women should stop dying in silence.
Speak now.
The rapist should be stigmatized, not the victim.
I think death sentence should be the consequence of such terrible act.
And you mothers, build confidence in your children, put trust in them, listen to them when they make reports, and take necessary actions.
Talking of mothers before now, women were virtuous.
They were mothers, daughters, and sisters.
Nurturing, counseling, supporting their men folks.
But now, women are trafficking female children for money. Women are forced to be silenced.
All this must stop, and it must stop now.
Real men do not abuse, rape, or molest women and children. It is barbaric, unacceptable.
Let all real men stand with us.
Together, let's say an emphatic no to rape, sexual abuse, pedophilia, and domestic violence.
All the crimes committed against a person, rape is the one that leaves the person feeling very violated. A rape victim is often left with the feeling that a part of them has been torn apart.
To use another person's body and ignore the souls that resides within is one of the most outstandingly shocking crimes that one person can commit against another.
Some men harass and rape their women.
Some men sexually abuse underage girls.
Some men beat and kill their wives.
Any form of sexual assault is unacceptable.
There must be consent before you act.
Being in a relationship is not consent.
If they are not sober, they can't consent.
Flirting is not a consent.
We had sex before is not consent.
Silence is not consent.
Only an informed, sober, freely given, ongoing and enthusiastic yes is consent.
Women should stop dying in silence.
A man does not become a real man by physically dominating a woman. A man becomes a real man by loving, protecting, and respecting the woman.
Real men do not rape or abuse women and children.
Let all real men stand with us. And together, let's say no to child abuse, no to domestic violence, no to all forms of rape, being it spousal rape, intimate partner rape, child sex abuse, statutory rape, date rape, serial rape, and gang rape.
We must rise up against this ugly trend.
Justice for one, justice for all.
All sexual assault must stop, and it must stop now.
I was raped multiple times by my aunt's boyfriend when I was 6.
I was repeatedly raped at the age of 8 by a close family member.
I was raped at 19. I didn't speak openly about it because I was ashamed and afraid that people would judge me.
I was raped at age 5 by my caregiver's husband.
On June 17th, 2020, 5-year-old Khadija Sakho, a beautiful little girl from Freetown, Sierra Leone, was repeatedly raped and strangled to death, allegedly by her own cousin. Her death shocked the nation. But in truth, in this small West African country, 9 out of 10 girls experience some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. Think about that for a second. 9 out of 10. That's 90%. My name is Aisha Sase. I'm a journalist and activist. I'm joining forces with Idris Elba and other activists from across Sierra Leone to support the survivors of sexual violence with the Survivors Solidarity Fund. Please consider donating whatever you can afford. All monies raised will go to 4 local organizations currently providing free medical and legal services to survivors. 5-year-old Khadija lost her life to sexual violence. That same threat remains for millions of others. So this is also a call for you to use your voice, your power, to draw attention to an enduring culture of rape. Together, we must end it now. My name is Aisha Sase. I am Khadija Sakho.
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 We are Khadija Sakho.
We are all Khadija Sakho.
She was the brightest at our level, even though she was as innocent as the heaven. That did not stop Papa Abu at age 57 to ask for her hand in marriage as she turns 11. Her parents, being naive about this rage, tolerated this marriage, and this destroyed the hopes and dreams of Kadiatu to live like it in Seattle. Instead, she's been used as a tool by an old school. Kadiatu is being used as a bait by her own mate. My friend is being emotionally tortured by this old culture. Old child marriage, it's on the rampage like disease, eating up the fabric of our girl-child image, and it's our duty to cage. Let's diverge. Please be obliged. It is now we emerge from this ancient custom at large.
If not for this dreadful event, Kadiatu could have become president, but now she has been trapped in an old man's residence, like a mosquito in a tent. She is vulnerable, but with her age, she is still able to become that virtuous woman of substance, like Madam Patricia Kaba, Madam Dr. Kadi Sise, Madam Sianyama Kooma, Madam Dr. Sylvia O'Blyden, Madam Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Oh yes, without child marriage, our girl child can still turn into Madam Hillary Clinton, Madam Theresa May. Be it as it may, Madam Condoleezza Rice. Let's not be hypnotized, but rather stay wise, for this can only be realized if education is being prioritized and child marriage is being criticized. So please, parents, do not relent, as it is apparent that a girl child can become great if only you patiently wait.
Our aim is to teach our pupils to be creative, critical thinkers, to be innovative, and to become the new entrepreneurs of Sierra Leone and Africa, moving the African continent beyond the 21st century.
Jobs are going to change. The nature of work is going to fundamentally change.
We realize companies are starting to hire on skills and not degrees.
Currently, I'm a self-taught coding beginner. I develop websites and basic applications. I've been interested in science and technology since I was 11. An up-to-date STEM lab gives us what we need, the tools, motivates us to do more.
The Scholarship and Innovation Working Group from Old Boys Association has been working with both Reverend Canon Ken Davis and Canon Lashite to see how they can increase science and STEM at the school.
STEM is important because pupils can learn how to solve real-world situations and pursue careers in web development, artificial intelligence, robotics, chemical engineering, and the sky is the limit to what a pupil can do.
So our vision for the future entails computing capability that would create a STEM innovation lab to provide all students with practical, engaging, and self-learning opportunities to gain digital skills.
One of the use of the microbit is to test for science experiments. In the case of agricultural science, we want to test for the soil. You can download the information about the type of soil on your computer, and then you take the microbit, download the information on the microbit.
STEM gives us the knowledge, gives us the capacity. With the science, the technology, engineering, and mathematics, it helps you to be able to prepare for the future, to be able to earn your place in the future workplace.
The coding club is new, and we only have a few members for now. And very soon we will have a big coding club.
Let us give the young people the tools to become critical minerals or miners of their thoughts and ideas that will develop our countries, and also for them to play their part in creating a conceivable world.
All donations are appreciated, and all funds raised will go towards the development, implementation, and management of this first of a kind Digital STEM Lab in Sierra Leone, Cyril Grammar School, empowering students for tomorrow's world.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and good night, depending whose partner the world you day. Welcome to Sierra Gem Media Production on Wednesday Big Sierra Leone debates, and today not to debates na discussion. Me una present na Juma Ba, and we get the Sierra Gem Media crew na so Sylvester Duba, T-Boy, and Femi Pama, and we get with special guests as well. But before I introduce them to, I just want to make quick apologies. Firstly, we know say there was some error on the time, so we apologize for that and for any inconvenience we that they don't cause for that. Today is a special program, and also, because of that, I know say some people they say it all reach them bedtime. I don't get so many text messages, so we apologize. But we know for Sona waiting at UK, we can start on Wednesday. So no worry. We will get a good show, and I'm sure you will benefit from staying up. T-Boy, good afternoon and welcome again to the platform. Tell me what you expect today.
Welcome, Juma. And again, we apologize once more to the viewers. Them say today is another day, and I think we asked Juma earlier on if he pour libation for the ancestors, then because we began to talk about something we get for do with the ancestors, then something I make all these issues they happen. So, but never mind.
I believe so too.
But I think we did pour libation, even though we might not have done it officially. But we just want to say once more, we apologize for the delay, and we apologize for all the other hiccups that we have on the way. But yeah, today is going to be very interesting. And funny enough, today I am with I'm not going to say much, but there is a lot to be expected from what we come for Kanye and for Cam know about. So basically, this is a packed knowledge show, and it is going to be exciting, challenging, creative, innovative, because it's packed of wealth of knowledge. I know people are going to be extremely shocked and surprised for what they are going to be listening to today, because I know the expectations of everybody right now, and you will not be disappointed, definitely. If you have a positive expectation, of course, you will be treated in a positive way. If you have a negative expectation, again, your expectation will be changed based on the fact that what you're going to hear haven't been heard before. And ideally, I wish I would have had my own symbolic symbol with the concept of what this show is all about today, but unfortunately, I don't have one. But I am representing one with my cultural designs. I don't know whether I can see the two eyes of the mask, his hair, which is representation. And then you possibly have the wings of the, I'll leave it there.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, T-Boy. And of course, we got about Femi Palmer behind the scenes. It's like Sarah Gem Media today, not a disappoint. We all look Africana, we all feel Africana. We all feel, say, African stories has to be told by Africans. Look for Obafemi Palmer himself cut out today. Say hello to Fambule.
Yeah. Now you cut out.
Say hello to Fambule and tell what you expect, sir.
Hello, people. Welcome to our noble platform. I got actually say noble because today we're in the hands of royalty. Today we get a packed show for Una. We hope you guys enjoy your stay. We have plenty for you guys to learn. I've already started learning whilst we prepare the show, and I shall say I get for learn some more. So over to you, Juma. Let's get the ball rolling.
T-Boy, check for me that sound is okay. And sorry. Okay, I switch on to the next camera, so at least we get a powerful view for Una today. How do I sound on your end?
You're fine. You're still okay.
Wonderful. All right, thank you so much. Well, again, like I say, the libation, possibly we guessed poor, but we no agree poor libation. So we pay the price right now. So we beg. Fambulem where they watch. Today we get to retreat at the studio, Usifu Jalloh, the Cowfoot Prince, and not so stranger to this platform, not so stranger to the Sierra Leone community, and not so stranger to UK and other parts of the world. Usifu Jalloh, the man they breathe, eat, sleep, do everything culture, everything tradition. So today it gets a show. It can take we through. It's a journey. When I know say the Cowfoot Prince, it can begin with story, in, out. So today it can take we through the journey of mystery, culture, tradition. We get to do with the Black Bondo Mask and the African woman. A lot of people will be like apprehensive, why a man discussing that kind of topic. But again, you don't do a whole lot of research. You don't input a lot into this, and I'm sure you will not be disappointed. Welcome, Usifu Jalloh. We appreciate you. We welcome you, and say hello to Fambulem and just get cracking.
Greetings, everybody. Unakushe, unakabo. And now, because there are quite a few people who are going to be watching this program who would not understand Creole. So I am going to go against my own very, gut thing, which is usually just to speak in Creole. So I will go in English because I know what I'm going to talk about here is, for many people, is very controversial. For many people, it is very, very sensitive, and I'm aware of that. But I'm hoping that by the time we are done, we will be having another way of looking at this. There's a saying. It says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And this is very, very important for us when we come to look at African cultures, African traditions, and African practices. It's incredibly important that we probably develop a new lens, another type of lens of looking at the African culture. And one of those African cultures that we're going to be looking at, that we should be looking at, and maybe with a different lens, is the Bondo Masquerade. Now, first of all, let me say to you that while doing this research, it's been for 2 years now, I've been doing this research, asking many questions. Going to my own town, my own village in Kamakuye and other villages, asking my mother and many other people that I know, and gone other countries around the world, including places like India, Egypt, South Africa, Kenya, Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria, Cameroon, and of course, Sierra Leone. And I've done a lot of work. So it's going to be very difficult to piece together what I have been looking at for the past couple of years into just an hour or so. So you're going to have to bear with me there. But I will do my best to present a case to you, and then hopefully we can all discuss this case. What I also want for you to understand is that I know that this is a sensitive issue. I know that the Bondo Mask for many people brings up crazy controversial stuff, intense argument for many people. I am aware of that. I'm aware of that, and it makes me nervous to be presenting this particular subject. And God knows, for those who know me closely, they know that I have been thinking about this for quite a long time now. I've been thinking about this topic, close to even about a year and a half. I'm thinking, should I talk about this or not? I've even asked myself, as a man, should I be talking about the Bondo Mask at all? Should I be talking about it? Should it not be the issue of the women? And I've also even argued about that it is a woman's thing. It is not necessarily a man's thing, that the women should be talking about this and addressing this issue. And while I believe that is the women should be talking about it, I also believe that us men have a major role to play as well in understanding this and appreciating what this is about. Now, so as I said, I am very nervous, but at the same time, I will do my best to present to you all at least what I am finding out. Now, I also know that many of you are coming on. You already have your own preconceived thoughts of what I might be talking about. I know many of you have that already. I know many of you might come with an open mind to see what it is I'm going to present, and I appreciate that as well. But whatever it is that you may have, whatever your thoughts might be about the Bondo practice, I want you to suspend that for a moment and let us look at this. And this is where my question starts. The Bondo Mask. What is it?
All right, hold it right there. Hold it right there, sir. With that question, I'm going to let you flow. I know you're already on gear, moving up the hills. Well, hold it right there for that question, because that would be my next question to you. I just want to reiterate the, introduction that you've made, and I like the way you started it with saying, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at do change. That's one. Secondly, I want to emphasize that for a moment, please, viewers, suspend the issue of FGM, the Bondo practice, everything that has to do with that for now. Let's focus on the Black Bondo Mask. And please keep your comments coming in, keep your questions coming in, and ensure that you clarify if you want. You can disagree, but let's keep the conversation clean. Because it's a learning process. And like Yusuf, rightly say, 1 hour is not going to be enough to have this full conversation. He may come back. So, Mr. Jalloh, please go ahead. What is this powerful, interesting Black Bondo Mask that you're talking about?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I hope, everybody, of course, appreciates this, that it is a sensitive subject, and I totally appreciate that. But like I say, I'll repeat, I am not looking at the practice of the female circumcision, or what some of you might call FGM. I am not looking at that. That is not necessarily my interest at this point. It is integral to this. I absolutely understand that. But I want us to look at this closely. And maybe from there, we might find a new narrative. Maybe from there, by the time I am done. So please bear with me. But this is the Bondo Mask. Or some people will say the Sowe mask. That's what it is. I come from the Limba family, the Limba people. My grandmother was a Sowe.
One of my aunties is now a Sowe. My mother went through the Bondo Society. So did some of my sisters. They went through the Bondo Society. And I know a number of people who went through the whole Bondo Society, at least among the Limba area. Right behind my house, where I grew up in Kamakwe, is the Bondo Bush, or where we say the, where the practice of the Bondo was being done. And it's always been sacred. But like I said, I'm not going to go into that because it is not necessarily what I have looked at. And as a man, it is not necessarily the kind of thing that I should be really going to. But I'm interested in the masquerade, in this mask. Why is it what it is? Why is it black? Why is the Bondo masquerade black? That's the very first thing you see with the masquerade. It is all black. And I've been asking myself that question, why is it black? And many times the answers that I've been getting is that the masquerade is black because of the mystery of the woman. The mystery of the woman. That in itself throws a lot of questions in my mind. What then is this mystery about the woman? What then is the mystery about this woman, this African woman, this black woman, or the woman in general? What is this mystery? And this has got me into searching many other different things. One of the first things I want to just also mention is that color plays a very important role in spirituality, especially also in African spirituality. If you go to India, you'll find the same thing. Even those of you who go to church, you will agree with me that color plays a very important role. So we in Sierra Leone, we have what we call Saraclos. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the Fula people have this Saraclos, which is red. I think it's red and black or red and black and white. They make it like in little patches, and they will wear that clothes. And it carries a lot of symbols why they will wear that those specific colors. When somebody dies in Africa, there are specific colors we will wear. In Ghana, they wear black. To mourn, some other places they will wear white. So colors are incredibly important to the way we carry out or practice much of our culture. In Europe here, it's the same thing. Colors mean a lot. Colors on flags mean quite a lot as well. So if that is the case, then I ask the question, why is the Bondo mask black? And if mystery is the answer they've given to me, then I need to find out what is this mystery about the woman. There's a Yoruba story that says even God is not ripe enough to watch a woman. So I'll quickly tell this story. Some of you might know this story, but I'll quickly tell this story. And I hope you will bear with me as I tell this story as quickly as I possibly can. And I'll put some music into it, and then I'll get into my main topic that I want to talk about. Well, there was a beautiful woman. She was so beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful that her husband was jealous. I mean, the husband was so jealous that this husband actually went and built a house for the woman up the tallest tree in the town. That's where he built the house for the woman to stay. He locked this woman in this room, he says, because no other man should have his eyes on this woman. No other man, only him is the only one who should be with this woman. He was that jealous. But as he kept this woman up the tree, every day he will get up in the morning, and then will go up to his farm to work. And there was a young man passing by one day, and this young man saw this hut or this house up the tree, and he looked and thought, who's staying in that house there up in the tree? It was right at that moment that the woman in the house opened her window. She looked outside to get some fresh air when she saw the young man standing down there. And she looked and she waved, and the young man waved, and beautiful woman, what are you doing up there? And the woman says, well, it's my husband who's kept me here. And the young man says, wow, it'd be nice to hang out with you sometime, you know. And the woman says, oh, well, yeah, nice. But anyway, well, if you want to hang out with me, it will be nice. But you have to go and come back tomorrow. So the young man went away. When the husband came back, the woman, she took the key from the husband. She made an impression on a bar of soap and kept the bar of soap. The next day when the young man came, she threw the soap over and says, go and cut the key. And this young man went, cut the key and came, climbed up the tree, opened the door, and had a blast of a time. But the woman warned him, you cannot stay. As you finish, you gotta go, okay? Whatever it is, you cannot stay. One day the young man came, chilled out, relaxed, fell asleep, and there was a knock on the door. As the knock came, and oh, husband has arrived today, wahala don't come. We are in problem today. And this young man, he jumped out of the window as the husband was entering the door. And the husband met the woman standing there like naked. And, hey, how come you're naked today? Something is wrong. How come you're naked? You've never been naked before in front. And the woman says, because I'm just waiting for you, my husband. You're my husband, I'm waiting for you. Meanwhile, the young man has gone and the husband says, no, this is unusual. This is not right. We have got to go and you have to go and swear. You have to go and swear oath that you have not been cheating on me, that nobody was in this room. And the woman says, okay, no problem. Now they had to go and swear in a rock in Nigeria, among the Yoruba people, they call the rock Olumo Rock. And so they say you have to go and swear on this rock. And it is said that when you go swear on Olumo Rock, when you sit down on Olumo Rock, if you tell a lie, your backside will be stuck on this chair, on the rock. Your backside will be stuck on the Olumo Rock if you tell a lie. So you cannot afford to tell a lie on Olumo Rock. So the woman says, okay, let's go. I'll go and swear to prove to you nobody was in this room. Well, the husband chilled out. The next day, the young man came and the woman, she slapped this young man and said, yo, you put me in trouble. You see what you've done now? My husband says to go to Olumorok to go and swear. See what you have done to me now. And the young man says, well, what do we do? And the woman says, all right, look, make sure you go along the road where along the way to the rock. Make sure you get a donkey and dress as an old man, old man, all right? And come with that donkey on the road to go to Olumorok. And I will do the rest. And the young man says, okay. So the next day, the husband is taking his wife to go to Olumorok. Then they saw this old man with a donkey on the road. As they saw the old man with a donkey on the road, and the woman, she knew what to do. She fell to the floor. Oh God, my stomach hurts. Hey, my stomach hurts. Oh, my stomach is hurting. Why? Oh, Papa God help me, my stomach is hurting. And the man said, hey, what do we do? Hey, look at that man over there with the donkey. Please let him come. Let me climb on the donkey. And that donkey carry me. I cannot walk anymore. I cannot walk. My legs, my stomach. And the husband, hey, you old man, come here. Come here, bring your donkey. And so the old man brought the donkey. Hey, carry my wife, put him on the donkey. Please take us to Olumorok. And the old man, he carried the woman and placed the woman. But as he was placing the woman on top of the donkey, the woman, her wrapper moved to the side. And the woman said, hey, husband, this other man, he has just seen me naked. He has just touched me and seen me naked. And the husband said, hey, please leave me. He's just an old man. Please sit on the donkey. We are going to Olumorok. Stop making nonsense. Let's just go to Olumorok. And so they made their way to Olumorok. And the woman sat on the rock. And the husband says, today you will prove to me. And as she sat on Olumorok, she says, I swear by the almighty Olumorok that no other man has seen me naked or touched me apart from my husband and this old man here. And of course, the woman, she stood up. Her backside did not get stuck on Olumorok. And the husband was excited. Ah, my wife, thank you. Now I know you're very good. Let us go home. Now that story, for me, is a very important story to tell. Because it emphasizes on this thing about the mystery of the woman. Again, talking about the mystery of the Bondo Mask. So, my people, bear with me. Let me start it this way. There's an old story of an astronaut who had just returned from space, a Russian astronaut. And this Russian astronaut was asked, man, you've been up to space and back. Did you see God? And the Russian astronaut replied, yes. And they said, you did? Well, please, can you tell us, what does God look like? And the astronaut says, she is black. Now that's enough to shake a lot of the foundations that we already have accepted over the years. The astronaut said, yes, I have seen God. She is black. You see, when we look at the energy around us, when we look at blackness around us, we have been told of how fearful blackness is. We have been told that everything black is evil and ugly and should be run away from at all cost. From blackmail to black whatever it is, but we've been told that blackness is evil and that everything bright and light is really what we should be looking for, or what we should aspire to go towards. But this man says, yes, I have seen God. She is black. Like I said, this is a very controversial topic for many people. So I will be saying many things to many people today that some of you will begin to think, what is he saying? What is he thinking about? But I want you to bear with me. Let us move forward with this a little bit further. Our whole cosmos is of blackness. The whole cosmos, galaxy, is of darkness. You see, in fact, when we think of sky, when we think of it, we don't usually think of it as that which contains the whole universe. That's darkness. What scientists are also calling dark matter. Now, if we, those of us who are Bible or Quran or so on, when you look into your book, it talks about an emptiness, a spaceness. That spaceness, that nothingness is of darkness, of dark matter. That space. And indeed, it is from that darkness, that dark space, that light has come from. If we then look at the stars, how do we see the stars? We only see the stars because there is a dark sky. In fact, many scientists are now figuring out that actually the stars and all the other planets are actually a function of this darkness, this sky. And I think this is fundamental, very important for us to understand. Today, when we think of this source where we have all come from, you look at me as a human being, you look at me and you think it's sophisticated. You look at yourself, it's sophisticated, intelligent. You look at the plants, you look at the bees, you look at everything, absolutely particular design. The intensity, the concentration that has been paid to create all of these simply implies that there is an intelligence behind all of this. And that intelligence has come or is within that nothingness. In fact, the Bible says very clearly, all that is seen comes from that which is unseen. Indeed, we all say nothing matters. No thing matters. No thing matters. And then we got to look at it and we can only refer it to this eternal blackness, this eternal darkness. You see, for many of us, looking at the Abrahamic faiths, what we understand then of this intelligence is of a man. Now, I know many of you intelligent enough will say, come on now, God is not a man, of course, you know. Yes, and I perfectly understand that. But I know that in your quiet moment when you are praying, the image you have in your subconscious is of a white man with long beard sitting back there and watching you all with his finger. That is what goes on in the subconscious. That is what you're praying, asking to give you this and give you that. Today, I want to suggest something else to you. I want to say, let us think of alternative. Let us think almost of the impossible. I want us to think in the contrary. I want us to imagine instead of God the Father, let us imagine and think God the Mother. Now, this goes totally against what many of us know of what Abrahamic says and what, you know, we're looking at the Christian faith and so, because in the Abrahamic faith that has been given to us, it is about God and his son, God and his prophets, all male. This is just how it's so. But I want to suggest to you another thinking today. God the Mother. Now, when we also think of this nature of this God, many times we think of this this kind of illuminous light, brightness, overwhelming brightness. Instead, I want to suggest to you of an absolute darkness, blackness. That's what I want to suggest to you. Because when we go back to those very books that talk about it, it talks about this nothingness, which is actually dark. And then it says light came after. So within that darkness, there is light. And you cannot see light unless there is darkness. If you don't believe me, put your torchlight on in the daytime and see if you'll see the light. Put your car light on in the daytime and see if you'll see the light. Only in the darkness will you see your light. But what's happening is that this darkness, we have attributed a lot of we have attributed a lot of negative energy into it. Now I can see some people are saying we need a break. This is intense. All right, but I can't stop. If I stop now, the flow that I'm having. NASA, well, no, this is NASA is saying, wait for we please. I'm afraid you're gonna have to listen to it twice, Nasai. But I'm gonna have to roll on because there's so much to cover and I want to be able to have questions and answers later on if we possibly can. So please bear with me as I push this narrative on. Yes, it is quite loaded and it gets much more loaded afterwards. But now, let us think of this God the Mother as all this darkness, this blackness, as opposed to just looking at this light that we are saying. Just like, for example, in India, when I went to India, I found the goddess Kali in India, black, even though they paint her blue, but they will tell you she's actually black. And that the goddess Kali is the goddess of destruction, the goddess of destruction. In fact, when you see Kali with a red tongue, with a sword, and with a human head on her hand and stamping on her husband, Shiva. So you might think, wow, a goddess like that, but in darkness of destruction. What you and I might see as destruction in terms of the universe, for the universe, it's about readjusting. Indeed, we have attributed the earth as Mother Earth. That's what we have done. We've attributed Mother Earth. We've looked at the sky in Egypt. The sky is referred to as Nut, goddess Nut. That if you go to Egypt, you will, and some of you can Google this, and you'll see Nut over the whole earth like that, bending over. A feminine. So what I'm saying is that in ancient times, we've already had our goddesses, or our attribution of the feminine energy to the earth, to the universe. So I ask again the question, why is that we've attributed this darkness to the women? Could it be because of this mystery that we're talking about? But here's what we've also done. We've also attributed the negative to the feminine. From Adam and Eve, the woman is the evil one. She is the one who spoke to the serpent and came with these fruits and stuff, and next thing you know, we now are facing what they call eternal death, or original sin. We've attributed the negative to the woman. Life in itself, as we experience it, is of positive and negative. You cannot have a positive cannot act without the negative. In fact, you will find out that the negative is even more powerful than the positive. We've attributed that to the feminine. But while we've done that within our culture, we have not looked at something like this. If I give you now a book, you will look at the print and not pay attention to the pages. It is just like when we look up at the sky, we see the stars, but we do not observe the sky itself. And without that dark sky, you don't see the stars. In the daytime, it's not because the stars are gone, it's simply just because it is not dark enough for you to see the heavens. And indeed, if we take it further, with the book, you see the writing and you don't acknowledge the page. The feminine is the page. The feminine is that which contains everything. And what we have done over the years is not understand that the feminine is the substance. And let's just think about that for a moment. Substance. For you to have a stance, you got to have a something to hold you for you to stand. And the woman had played that role. The feminine had played that role as the substance. The whole earth is surrounded by that feminine, because we've attributed the whole galaxies or the whole cosmos to the feminine. So the earth itself, which we refer to as feminine, is also contained by a feminine. The woman, the mothers that we have, or women that we have the X and the Y chromosomes. The men only have the Y chromosome. That is when it's active. So in other words, the woman in her state is in a state where she can produce and give life. And if you think if you want to understand more what I'm saying, let me ask a question to you all, and you can answer this later on. She takes in, and she is the only one who knows when to give life out, to give birth. The man knows nothing, or the male knows nothing. Let me push it a little bit further for you, this particular presentation. And I hope, Mr. Mamadou Ba, you'll bear with me as I'm pushing this forward, because it's a...
Go on.
Very good, good. And all of you who are listening to me, please be patient with me, because I said this is a subject which is important to talk about, but we don't usually talk about it. So I am presenting it forward, and be open to hear all of your own views later on. Okay, so now I'm talking about the feminine as the foundation of everything. That which contains every single one of us, which represents space. Now, I'm not saying that the earth is a woman, or now am I saying, but what I'm saying is that us humans, we have attributed a feminine energy to these. Why? Because these feminine energy, and as we say, Mother Earth, it means it is what sustains us. And we understand that the mother is the very first one that educates us. The mother is the very first one that feeds us. Every single life being that comes, it is the mother that first feeds you and takes care of you. We've recognized that. And so we attribute the same energy to the earth based on our own comprehension as humans. We look at the earth, understand that it feeds us, and we call it Mother Earth, gives us compassion. It is the same again with how we've looked at water, and I'll come to that very, very soon. So what I'm also putting forward for us is that the dark also represents, like the goddess Kali in India, the dark also represents death. And what's interesting is that death is one thing in the Western world people don't want to talk about. Death has been shoved under the carpet. And that culture of death being shoved under the carpet is being spread to many, many other countries around the world, even including Africa. But for an African person, death is part and parcel of our existence. In fact, death is necessary, and we've embraced it. And death in itself is also seen as another feminine energy. Especially as in India, that she is this force of destruction. Now you might think, force of destruction, how could that be then attributed as we're talking about God and so on? How could that be? Well, how do you know? Because this death, this darkness itself is actually quite beneficiary. Because how do you know good if you've not experienced bad? How do you know you are nice if you've not experienced ugly? So then in the nature of this Mother Earth, of this feminine of soul, it will bring what you and I will call destruction. But what it's doing is getting you to appreciate the good. So the feminine energy is being symbolized in this blackness, this darkness. It is the void. It is the womb. It is the carpet that holds everything together. Now, if we begin to understand that the feminine energy is contained in this, there are many questions which I started asking myself. And before I get to those, press the sorry,
now we have it.
Press mute as I'm going through my notes. Now, so before I even go into those many questions that I've been asking myself, I want us to look at just the African way also of looking at the feminine. Within the African context, we attribute a lot of feminine energy to water. Now, in science, they talk of the Milky Way, the galaxies, and so on. And all of that is gases. Gases are liquid, water. And when you talk of water, I don't want you to just think about just water as we drink, because there's a lot of liquids. That's what we're referring to. And it's been referred to as feminine. And within the African culture, feminine is attributed to water energy. In Egypt, the goddess of the river Nile is called Happy, from where we have the word happiness, to be happy. In other words, a zest of life, giver of life, sustenance. It's a goddess, not a god, a goddess, feminine. And it's important we begin to understand this because, and there's another thing to talk about which I don't want to go into, which is the relationship between the snake, which we find in Egypt in the crowns, and the river Nile. But that's another subject, and I don't want to get into that at all. Even that is another very important one in relation to the feminine energy. But for now, let me just talk about this water. So we have the river Nile being attributed to the female goddess. Come to West Africa, we have in Nigeria, Oshun. It's a female goddess. Again, where we go and people go and they honor the sea. People might use the word worship. I don't necessarily like to use the word worship. My understanding tells me it's about honoring. It's about honoring that life giver, or that's one that sustains you. And it's important in understanding African spirituality that it's not about worship, but about honoring. Honoring. that we see ourselves in everything else around us. We see ourselves in the ant, in the worm, in the tree. This is one of the key reasons why Africans have lived for thousands of years on planet Earth, and we still kept the forest blossoming. We kept the sea with a lot of fish. Water was clean. We had all of these things with us because in our spirituality, we are not part of the land. We are the land because we have come from the earth. Check your Bible, check your Quran. It says we come from the dust. Africans understood this. So we had no problems playing around with the dust, honoring the dust. So we have a tree, we say this is sacred. We have a plant, it's sacred. Don't touch that, don't eat this, don't do that. We have this kind of sacredness. And it's important to understand this about African spirituality. Honoring that which we see ourselves in it. Even this stone, you might think that the stone does not have life. Indeed, it has life, it vibrates. This understanding that we have helps us to understand when we say Mother Earth, Mother Nature. So when we say Mami Wata, which is what we say in Sierra Leone or in Guinea, what then are we talking about? I know when I use the word Mami Wata, for many people, you will absolutely freak out because Mami Wata, hey, please don't call the demon here. Don't call this, don't call that. That's what many people would say, Mami Wata. But let me introduce it again to you. Like I said earlier on, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. What if I suggest to you, Mother Water? Does that sound acceptable enough? Posh enough? Does that sound civilized enough if I say to you, Mother Water? Because indeed, your very essence is 70-something% water, liquid. The sperm, the semen that goes in is liquid. All the organs in there, the ovaries, liquid. What keeps you protected before you come to this world is water, liquid. What breaks before you are born? Liquid, water. And when you're born, what's the very first thing you're fed with? From a woman, water. From the feminine, they feed you, they breastfeed you, water. Therefore, the African understanding is the honor of this energy, this feminine, that continuously, endlessly sustains us and keep us living. At the same time, has a massive destructive force when it is ready to do so. We understand this intrinsically. Therefore, that's why in Africa, the most popular song you'll find in Africa is Sweet Mother, I no go forget you, for the suffer way you suffer for me. It is not a coincidence that that song is the most popular song in Africa. It is not a coincidence that you could insult my dad, but if you insult my mother, especially as an African man, you insult my mother, we will not see the end of day between you and I will have a fight throughout if you insult my mother. Because we understand instinctively that it is the mother, the feminine, that lays her life on the line to give life. If that is not mysterious enough, tell me what is mysterious. So when I ask questions about why is the Bondo masquerade black, and they're telling me it's about the mystery of the woman, I started asking questions. And what I came across as some of these answers like this. And I began to understand what is it then that holds us together. For compassion, there's no one that beats the mother, the woman, the feminine for compassion. At the same time, as they say, there is nothing, no vengeance as terrible as a woman scorned. Is that what they say in English, right? That the woman, when she is angered, it is terrible what she'll come out with. There's a reason, I think, and it comes for me in this mystery, in this black, in this darkness. So therefore, I am saying, I'm suggesting to you, my people, when you're looking at Mami Wata, think again. When we're talking of Mamiwata, when we're talking of Yamoja, as in or Oshun in Nigeria, think again. What have our people been talking? Let's go into the Bible. Who was Mary? What did she stand for? Did you know that the name Mary is actually not a name, it's actually meaning crown? You go and do your own research and you will find that out. Why was Mary Magdalene so significant in the Bible for Jesus? What were they all about? What is this thing that they say the Immaculate Conception? What is that in the African sense? These are some researches which I've done, which I'm not going to go into right now. I'll look at those one on another episode, looking at what is this Mary, what is this virgin birth. But it speaks volume of who the feminine is. So then, what has happened over the years then? If at all the feminine carries this, is the one that is the baftan, is the one that contains us. What has happened over the years? What has been our attitude towards this feminine? She is black. She is dark. She is the mother nature. She is the mother earth, the blackness, the no-thingness that became matter. Just as the mother, with nothing in here, she got pregnant and brought life. Who then is this? What have we been doing? How have we been relating to her? Well, a few things I want to bring in here, especially when we're looking at the Black Bondo Mask. I'm suggesting to you all that our people in Sierra Leone and also in Liberia, because they also have the Bondo Mask there as well, I'm suggesting to you that what our people knew, what they represented in this Bondo Mask, in blackness, is the Alpha and the Omega. That what they're representing for us to see, what they're documenting, is that in the feminine, you find your own existence. That if we lose the fear, we look in the blackness, we will find ourselves. Because indeed, when you shut your eyes to pray, you shut your eyes to pray, you have to go into darkness, blackness, for you to see the light. In fact, when you shut your eyes and go into blackness, you see more than when your eyes are opened. What our women, what our ancients, what our ancestors are saying in making this black is saying to us, in this lies the story of our very beginning and our very end. For indeed, we come out of nothingness. And when we die, we go back into nothingness, like nothing even happened. We go back into nothingness. Now, I know also that in looking at this masquerade here, looking at this black masquerade, for some of us, this is probably the most traumatic visual to look at. And I appreciate that. For some of us, we'll look at this and go into dread because of the female circumcision some of us have been through and what we might associate it with. But at the same time, I want to suggest as well to you that in looking at this, we will also find the answers to maybe solving a lot of problems that we are facing on our earth today, in our relationships and even in how we organize our society, when we appreciate what the feminine is. So now let me ask a question, not a question, but I want to put a few things, I want to present a few things to you. For us, men and women, if you look at what I'm proposing to you, suggesting to you about this blackness, if you understand that it is the foundation, it is what holds you together, that feminine, that womb man. If you understand that is what holds you together, how have you been treating that womb man. How have you been treating? If you know it is the back pan, it is the bowl that holds you. Have you been busting holes? Have you been putting holes in that bucket or in that bowl pan? Because when you do, you will very soon not have a leg to stand on. If the feminine is that container that holds us together, how should we be treating that holds us together? Because that is what we have ignored all of these years. In Europe, there was a time when they went through what they call witch hunt, when they said they've got to capture witches and burnt them to the stake. In Europe, many of us who know the history of Europe will know during that period, people who held the Bible went ahead and took a lot of women and burned them to the stake and called them witches for the most silliest of reasons. Why? Because any woman who showed any knowledge beyond that of giving birth and cooking food was considered a witch. But if the woman is the foundation, as we've talked about, that she has all of this energy, don't you understand then that the woman is even that much more spiritually sensitive? That she has a pineal gland that connects direct to the source. That is why a woman that has a child, if that child is somewhere being hurt or something, or anything is happening to that child, that woman feels the pain straight away and she can connect. Why is that? I guess it comes to the answer that they gave to me about the mystery of the blackness that there is. While I appreciate that some might see trauma, but I also want to suggest that we can still look in this and find answers. Because now, let us examine what we even were doing in Africa. There are some cultures that we have in Africa that I would even question and say, nah, this is not right. For example, I've just talked of Europe where they burnt women to the stake, which is absolutely terrible again, because that fear that us men have harbored over the years against the power that the woman possesses have led us to damage the women. Because what it also means, or whatever you are afraid of, you will destroy. And so the same with darkness. So the same with blackness. When you're afraid of it, you want to destroy the blackness. If you destroy that blackness, you have no foundation. You have nowhere to hide. You will be exposed. And in fact, whichever way you do it, you only go back to the blackness anyway. Now, let's look at it in Africa. When we look in Africa, for example, in Togo, and also in the Volta region in Ghana, they have what they call the Trokoshe. The Trokoshe is a culture where if somebody goes and commits a crime or you owe somebody debt, somebody comes and says, I'm going to take your daughter or your woman from you, and this woman is going to be married to some priest, to some priestess or some goddess somewhere, and there's a man there who would keep all these women in his, like a lot of them. Even as I'm talking to you, that culture is still being practiced, and there's like over 5 to 10,000 or so women there in the Volta region in Ghana that are Trokoshes, who have been kept in there, and some of them are as young as 12 and 13. And immediately after puberty, the way they are initiated is by getting the priest to go to bed, or let me not say go to bed, but literally to rape them. And there's been instances where young girls got pregnant and died. So I'm asking the question, as Africans, if you understand that your woman, your feminine, is your foundation that holds you, would you treat your woman like that? If you do, why would you do that? Do you understand that in doing that, you are also destroying yourself? And that custom is right there. And I can't wait to see customs like that totally kicked out of the way. I'm sharing to you what I know for now, and I'm sure you also know many, many other customs that we practice in Africa, in India, in America, wherever, about and against the feminine. If we look at early marriages, it is clear that that child is not ready for any penetration. Why then you, a man, if you understand what the blackness is that supports you, If you understand, as one of the pastors that I know, I've forgotten his name now, who talks about, says the woman is like an incubator. She multiplies. You give her a seed, she multiplies and give you life. You give her money, she multiplies and give you food. You give her a home, and so she will multiply for you. If you understand that, why would you take a little girl and rape her? These are the kind of questions that came up to me. Finally, I want to say, when we even look at the Bondo society itself, if we are going to look at it and we're going to march forward and appreciate what that blackness is, what that feminine is, maybe we need to begin to look at the Bondo itself and figure out, are there things that we need to be changing there? And if there are, maybe we need to be getting on with it. But with a dialogue, with a proper respect for our mothers, for our women, with proper respect for them, honoring them, and appreciating that they have held customs for us. They have held us together when us men go about and destroy nature, Mother Nature. And in fact, you'll appreciate this, that when it comes to us men, the way we treat the earth is the same way we treat the women. The way we treat the earth is exactly the same way we treat the women. We treat the earth with disrespect. We don't care for any of the plants. If I take my country, Sierra Leone, deforestation is crazy. If we go to Brazil, it's not the women cutting the trees, it is the men destroying Mother Nature, as they say in South America, Pachamama. And I'm putting forward to you that when we look at this, we could change the narrative of the strength of the woman, the narrative of the power, the support that she gives to every single one of us. That, for me, is what this represents. The same way we take a Bible and people go through trauma because of that, same way we take the Quran and we think of ISIS and people go through trauma, it's the same way people take the same Bible and say, it is my salvation. Same way somebody takes the Quran and say, it is my salvation. It's the same way I see the Black Bondo Mask, that in this blackness, yes, there have been traumas, but yes, in it, you find the answer that we're looking for, the strength, the power that lies, the mystery that lies within the feminine, the blackness, the darkness, the Alpha and the Omega. And that, for now, is what I'll present to you all.
Well, thank you so very much, Usifu Jalloh, the Cowfoot Prince. We told our viewers that you will not disappoint, and indeed you have not disappointed us. It's been a journey, it's been a learning process, it's been enlightened discussion or presentation, I should say. And I'm following the conversation there. It's been engaging and interesting. You have, a couple of people who have their own contrary views, which we expect. And definitely, we're going to possibly ask T-Boy shortly to come in and highlight if there are questions or maybe, some of the comments that he would like to, for us to clarify. But it's been a wonderful presentation. Again, it's a reminder, because when we're in trouble, when we're in bondage, when the world is against us, when our backs are against the world, who do we turn to? Our mothers, our women. That's it. So going back to what you've been saying, we present the Black Bondo Mask, particularly the African woman, as everything negative. But when the world turns upside down, who do we run to for compassion? Who shows that emotion? Our African women. Who will tap you on the back and say, it's going to be okay? Who do you go to and ask for prayer? Who do you go to and ask for forgiveness? The African woman. Your mother, your wife, your sister, name them. So coming back, Yusuf used a mask as a symbolism to take us through that journey, how we need to treat our women, how we need to treasure them, how we need to value them. Interestingly, you made mention of the Mami Wata. And when you highlight Mami Wata, people start running, freaking out, you know, going into their closet and, you know, everything. But men are attracted to all things beautiful. Which women do men go for? Say, this woman is fine like Mami Wata. So how can you be scared of something that is so beautiful, but then run back to that thing? So we contradict ourselves every day. Is it power struggle? Is it because we are not able to keep up as men? Is that why we want to talk down on our women? Is that why we want to oppress them? Is that why we want to put them in shackles and all that? No, we need to embrace their power, their strength, their beauty, and all that they are made of. So I'll go to T-Boy quickly to, highlight a few things, then possibly Femi, and then we'll go to Yusuf to round up. Go ahead, T-Boy.
Unfortunately, today I'm not in the chat because I don't have a Facebook page.
Oh, okay. So that's another story. Okay, so keep it there. But possibly, let me hear your own comment.
Okay. All right. There are quite a few questions here.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'll go to those questions soon. Let me just, if T-Boy have, want to make a minute, or you want to wait until when we're
wait, let me get on with the questions. Because I believe the people in the chat did it for quite some time and they're eager for their questions to be answered.
One of the question here, and that's from Anthony Pampela Richards. I apologize if I'm not saying your name right. The question is, did this interpretation of the color come from the society, or is it Usifu Jalloh who is adding his ideas about the alpha and omega, deep space, etc.? So that's one question I would like you to respond to. And then if you had spots, or seen any other question that you want to comment on as well. Go ahead.
Yes, and thank you very much, Brother Anthony. Thank you for asking that question. Well, like I said, I put forward my thoughts on this. One of the things about my way of looking at our culture and our traditions, I always ask myself, what are the contemporary relevances of our culture? Are there any, or is there none? So I tend to ask that question, and when I do, inevitably, there's a lot of answers or thoughts that will come to my mind. And this is one of those moments where I thought of it and asked, why is it black? Because there's no place that I've seen a white or blue Bondo mask or whatsoever. And in asking that question, like I said earlier on, I do not know if you saw the discussion when I first started at all, but I think I explained that I am putting forward my own searches, what I have thought about, and I've asked a lot of questions. And even when I ask a lot of women in Sierra Leone that I've asked, including some of my aunties who are Sowais, all they will usually tell me is, it's about the mystery, it's a secret, or it's about the mystery of the woman. And that led me to ask, okay, well, what is this mystery? So let me find out. And what I have found out so far is what I have expressed to you about just, again, the mystery of the feminine energy. And does that tie in with this blackness, knowing that color is not just used amongst our people for any spiritual purpose. They don't just use it just because we're just going to paint it black. I do not think so at all. I think it is always symbolic. And that's important here, symbolism. That's what's important here. You also ask, is this what the Bondo women themselves say? No, many of them do not have the knowledge that I have gone and acquired in India, Egypt, and so on. Many of them do not have this kind of knowledge. They do not have this kind of relative knowledge. So what I have done is to look at it, but not in isolation, but but to think, well, are there any other knowledge anywhere else that talks about blackness and femininity? And so when I've looked at this, what I've found out, the same thing with water, all these things I have found out. Now, it's hard to see any of this in textbooks, okay? You hardly will see anything like this in textbooks because it is not what is taught about our own journey as Africans, our own spirituality, and which I think is important that we dig these things, that we dig into it. And I could be wrong, but I want people to prove me wrong. I want us to engage in our own culture. That's, for me, what is triggering all of this discussion here. Maybe you have an idea. Maybe it will trigger you to go and check something else and say, look, Usifu, what you said there, this is what I've come up with. And I'll be very interested to find out. Because a lot of our young people today are growing up and they're asking, what's our spirituality? What is it? Right. So that's what's triggering all of this, Brother Anthony.
Mr. Jalloh, I just wanted to, draw, few things as well, possibly that might joggle our memory. Things that we possibly don't pay attention to that much. You mentioned, the spirituality part of it for Muslims and Christians, Muslims for particularly that I'm familiar with the Muslim faith. They say when you want to offer special prayers, you wait late at night when it's dark, when it's quiet, you make your istikhara. That's, it's you and your God listening at night. Then whatever you ask for as a Muslim, you get the answer. So that's one thing, So the color thing, and then somebody just highlighted.
I want to, let me add something there. And I see this is so deep, and I do not want to get into this yet, but I can see people are asking questions, and people do want to know. There is a whole thing about the darkness, which we need to understand as African people, about blackness. When you talk of the Muslims, they go to doing Laylatul Qadr. Why is it that Laylatul Qadr at night, not in the daytime, at night? I want you to imagine way back when there was no electricity and so on, when they held Laylatul Qadr at night, and they tell you the angels are all out, and anything you do, you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, right? You have to call the Prophet's name. Everything you say Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha wa Allahu Akbar. Everything you do that night. If even you spit, they say there are malaikas around. We have to understand what this means. This is an age-old African concept, which connects to what is called the pineal gland. The pineal gland is active at night, and it is our main connector, like an antenna that connects us to the ethering world. Now, this is a big subject, which I'm not going to go into it deep for now, but I just want people to understand that even the medicine men or medicine women, when they go out to find the right herbs to heal you, they do not do it in the daytime. They go in the early hours of the morning from 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Why? It's dark. That's when this pineal gland, this energy is active. That is why Christians, when you go to church and you pray, you have all-night prayer. When is the time that the prayer is more intense? Is it not around 2 o'clock in the morning, late at night? Because of the darkness.
And relating that to modern day society, or what we're all familiar with, when you suffer from migraine, or when you're stressed, you don't want to distress yourself, what do they tell you? They say, go into a dark, quiet place, turn off all the lights, lay there and relax. You'll be okay. So color matters, but depending when when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at do change. So someone was asking a question here, and he's a colleague, and I'm actually part of his organization. He usually do his puts together the Sierra Leone Independence Cultural Dinner every year in the United States, here in Maryland, except on this COVID-19 era. But he was asking how we can get you to come and educate people, tell the stories. But we'll talk about that, and definitely, I'm sure, as long as Mr. Jalloh's calendars can accommodate, definitely he'll be happy to be here with us, Solomon. So that answers your question. So over to you again, sir. If you have, something I wanted to mention, there's someone from the Persian culture that highlighted that the moon is feminine in their culture tradition. So the moon that we look at, you see the moon, but moon does not shine during the day. Mostly it's at night, like you say, the stars as well. So the moon.
Let me address that. Let me look at that quickly. That's why I said in the ancient world, everybody understands the relationship between the feminine and these energies and the solar system. And in appreciation of that, you'll understand that women in general, I do not know if you are aware of this, but in Sierra Leone, when a woman is going through a menstrual cycle in Sierra Leone, they say she's seeing her moon.
Yes.
Yes, because the relationship with us and the moon is quite clear. When the moon is up, they say the people with mental instability or mental problems, it will get intense because there is a vibration that connects us on all of this. So what I'm putting forward here is just that we as humans have so much more connection to all of this, and our people understood all of these things. It is not about us and the rest. It has been for us, just us and them. This is in India, they talk of yoga. Yoga is oneness. When you understand that you are the ant is you. You are the mango tree is you. This is a deep African spiritual appreciation that the godness is within you. So when you lose the fear of the darkness and you are in it, you will realize there is no him or her, his or there is no there or here. You will realize that there is only just one in that darkness. It is all one. It is only when light comes in and then you see here or there. This is why when you talk of the Adam and Eve story, when Eve got into, as I say, eating the fruit, as the story goes, she saw light. She saw there is him and there's her. That whole story is another deep symbol altogether of the world of relativity, which again is another topic to get into, and we don't have time to go into that. But it talks again of the woman. Why is it? It is Eve that came across and dealt with this world of relativity. Why not Adam? Why is it? Why, so it gets me to question a lot of stories that we have been told. And as a storyteller, my job is to go behind the story. And when I go behind that, the more I discover my Africanness, the more I begin to appreciate what is this black mask that our women have put. Now, I am not saying to anybody that this is authoritatively so, because it is not written anywhere. This is Usifu Jalloh putting forward my thoughts. Yes, putting forward my thoughts, putting forward what I have found out. There might be somebody out there more intelligent, more smarter, much more researched than me that can probably put on a better case than what I am putting forward. But whatever the case is, I am saying let us look at this. And how does this help us tackle issues of the discrimination, the diabolical way we are treating our women? I have looked at it and saying, you know what? If this is the case, and we're talking of the mystery of the woman, and if all that I found out that the feminine is what contains us, how can we abuse it? How can we? How should we be treating the feminine? You see what I'm saying? And this is what I'm putting forward. How do we use this to solve our problems? If it means that the blackness has this mystery and so on, should we then not be looking at how we improve the lives of our women? Maybe it might mean that we look at the whole Bondo society and realize, look, you know what? Maybe our girls deserve a lot more better. Can we restructure this whole thing to give it a better environment? Could we restructure it? And I'm going to say this categorically here. I'm not looking for no white person to come in and sort this out for us. I am putting this to you as an African person to say, we have got to look at this. Us men, we started the damage. And we have got to take the responsibility as well to correct it.
Right.
And
Because
we cannot leave our women open to any abuse or any outside forces, as I might put it, to come in and instigate our women. And now the women are acting against us, and we are divided. And I'm trying to say, can we figure out so that we can come together? Because no person, no European person, in my view, should come and teach me, an African man, to honor thy mother and thy father. I am a representation of it as an African man. It is embedded in my.
We have a view here which I'm not too clear what the viewer is trying to highlight, but I'll read it as it is. Possibly you'll be able to add an interpretation to it, or if the person who made that comment, I think it's Eddie Pratt, if he can clarify what he's trying to say. The comment says, the blackness of the mask is one of the design aspects of the mask. It should not be isolated to interpret its function. So it's a comment, I just read it out. We're not going to label on that because I'm not clear what the viewer is trying to say there. If you have questions or want to further clarify that, we'll appreciate that, and possibly make more, talk on it a little bit more. Let me see. It's not time to reach them about different masks in Sierra Leone. Also, someone is asking if it is not time to start teaching people about the different masks, the different designs in Sierra Leone, but I'm sure that would be for another day.
Well, I can just quickly, because the person who asked the first question about the design.
Yeah, well, it's a statement. Yeah.
It's a statement, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely there is design. I mean, in African art, if you check the Alusi figures, I don't know if you know anything about the Alusi figures. Again, like I said, I've dug a lot of things on this. When you check the Alusi figures, which you find in among the Igbo people in Nigeria, these are also like spiritual kind of figures attributed to them. There's designs, there's specific designs. Again, what I'm trying to point here is that our people are very scientific. Our people, not just artistic, but they have a deep intelligence. And in their simplicity, there are layered intelligence that they bring to you in simplicity. So the same with this Bondo masquerade. In its simple design, there is a lot of layers of messages. And this is what I'm bringing forward, that I'm saying, yes, there's the design, but why designs? Someone just do not come and just design. They will tell you the marks around the neck is about beauty. They'll tell you the mouth small is also about beauty, and all of that is all relevant. But I'm looking also the color. Why is it black? I've never seen a white one, and I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I could be wrong, but I'm saying that color spiritually is incredibly important and significant to African people, and has been for many, many, many centuries. And finally, the last one you mentioned about the masks. Yes.
Yes. If it's not high time that we start teaching people about the different masks that we have in Sierra Leone.
I totally agree with that. And this is where I've been talking about education within the context of our culture. Every country that is teaching its children outside the context of their culture are going backwards, or at best stabilizing. They're not moving nowhere. And that comes from the languages, everything. Every country that is teaching its children using its own cultural context, they are moving forward, they're progressing. And Sierra Leone will be no different. We still suffer from the colonial malaise that's been left with us, because the language, for example, has been seen as a measure of intelligence. So if you don't speak English very well, you're seen as unintelligent. So we see our people who design sophisticated stuff like the Bondo masquerade and many other masquerades. We see these people as uneducated, as we use the word illiterate. And I challenge anybody to say that my African people are illiterate, because you're trying to tell me that my people cannot communicate. Rubbish, absolute rubbish.
I'm going to provoke a conversation here now, just to put it in context. That person has talked about mask. I know we don't want to deviate, but it's just to relate a woman the color, and the mask. We all agree it's a universal, statement that black is beautiful. So we say black is beautiful when we choose to, but then we condemn black when it doesn't sit well with us. So let's come to the Bondo Mask. You see, in Sierra Leone, for example, what do they say? Say, look, you cut neck like Bondo devil. But then, when they want to say you are ugly, look where you were like Gongoli. So I just wanted to bring that. Can you comment? I see Tiwa is smiling as well.
It's
so you were like Gongoli, but you find like Bondo devil.
But it is a very, very important question there you have just asked regarding masks and how we see them. You see, because we're losing who we are, like the Creole, know yourself not to cause, not good advice. When you know yourself, then you begin to understand the value, what value you represent. If we don't know, you call yourself devil. You call yourself Kaka devil. And not only that, you call yourself Kaka devil bostrous.
And now, if you want to say it in English, cat devil, bust trousers,
shit devil, holy trousers, patchy trousers, shit devil, patchy trousers. Now, but to me, this is significant because spiritually, words are incredibly important. Words are vibrations. So we say that about ourselves. We say that about our culture. That is shit. And it's a devil. It's a devaluer. To the word devil, devalue, devaluer. So we devalue ourselves. And not only that, bostruses, trousers with holes. In other words, shameful. Shameful, naked, shameful. This is what we're saying to ourselves. No wonder that we would treat our women many times, unfortunately, I would say the way we do, which is why we are finding it hard to discuss this subject about the Black Bondo Mask or the Sowe mask. This is why we're finding it hard to discuss it. And we should be discussing this. We cannot be waiting for a European person to come in and engage us in this. And in YouTube, I have seen a white man holding the Bondo Mask talking about it. And I'm asking, what? But let me put this forward. Some years ago, I went to the British Museum, and what they had at the British Museum was what they call the Spirit of Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
And what they were displaying when I went there was the Bondo Masquerade.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the room, it was just the Bondo Masquerade and everything about it. And I'm thinking, but wait a minute. They're telling us this thing, but here it is. And people are paying. I know of a friend who went and put a Bondo Masquerade in the 80s, and they paid for the mask £500. Now, while we are throwing these things away, Europeans are collecting them. And I've witnessed many that they're collecting, and the cases are on plenty. What are we doing now? In case we do not understand the economic value of this, let me just put it this way, because it's important that we understand the economic value when we're talking of the masks alone, why we should be teaching about them. These masks and these artifacts that many people hold here in Europe, they use them as collaterals to go and loan millions in the bank. And they take those millions and feed their children. And we are not seeing that. And they're giving us excuses that if we take these things back to our country, we don't have a place to keep them. Well, excuse me, we had them before. Don't tell me we don't have a place to keep them. Secondly, ownership. Ownership of these things. These people own it in Germany, in wherever you choose to go, where you find our artifacts like these. They own it. These people, they take it and they give you, they pile paperwork on top of it to say they own it. And by the time you go through the paperwork, you are blind. You don't even see what you're going for anymore. I can give you examples from the Benin bronzes. I can give you examples from the ones in Cameroon, where they had this ship, this boat that with a wood like that. It's quite spiritual symbol as well. They've got it there in France, and they're refusing to give it back. Right. And we can talk on this on so many different angles. And the masks, our art, our crafts is incredibly important in relation to our economic growth. In England, tourism gives something like about 5.7 billion pounds a year. Much of that is because of the arts.
So just on that point, Yusuf, you know, if we are condemning the Black Bondo Mask, but paying millions of dollars for, what's the world's famous painting?
Oh, what, like the Picassos and those?
Those kind of things. Yeah. So it's just to, you know, relate to what you're saying.
Let me drag it further for you. Let me drag it further for you. What is the similarity between Disney, yes, Mickey Mouse, and Paddle?
Right.
Both are masquerades.
Right. Jolly.
And Jolly. Both are masquerades. What is the difference? The difference, one turns billions of dollars and employs hundreds of thousands of people, and one is feared and neglected and nobody even wants to care about it.
Right.
Now, how then are we going to turn this around? This is what's important for me. And this is why even when we come to our government and so on, banning the masquerade, that is not an answer. What the answer is for me is engaging in dialogue and re-educating, reorientating our young people about what these things are. And these things can add tremendous amount of value to our economy in Sierra Leone and in much of Africa. The Zaole mask in Ivory Coast. Today I see people posting it all over YouTube as the Zaole dancers are dancing with their feet. But who sits down to quantify the value of these things? Who sits down to do it? We don't do it unless the European comes to do it. And this is why I am initiating a conversation like this, that we need to begin to face our blackness, our darkness, and we need to begin to face it. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, and people have accused me already, and I could read for you the messages I got today when I put this up, of two white women who came on literally insulting me. They don't know me, they don't know what I'm going to talk about, but insulting me of coming to talk about Bondo Mask, and it is horrible that this mask triggers trauma for so many people. How could I do that? I am a disgrace. They put it all on my Facebook page. But as far as I'm concerned, every single day we watch the Second World War. We watch the First World War of Hitler's, of all this stuff. Every day we watch it. Is it not traumatic? But every day they show it to us. Why is it that when us as Black people, as African people, when we are saying to bring our own forward and talk about it, you have other people who are coming into our business and want to tell us what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And I'm sitting here and saying, no, you cannot come and just tell me what to do, when to do, how to do it, my thing. I am asking that every single one of us as African people, we begin to look back into our own roots. The ugly, the dirty, the bad, the witch, whatever you want to call it, we need to look into it and begin to draw what is good about it. Let us change what needs to be changed, and what needs to go into museum, go into museum. What we can use to enhance our sciences, let us do it. What we can use to enhance our geography, our history, and so on, let us use it.
Yeah, there's a question for you, saying if you don't you think the secrecy attached to the mask, it's what makes it, that has made us, you know, what makes it so fearful, and people are running away from it. So that's what the question is saying here.
What a fantastic question, such a fantastic question. And whoever asked that question, thank you for asking that question. I agree with you that when they put secrecy around things, people suddenly become fearful. Okay, well, secrecy, I think, is very, very important. I use the word secrecy, but what I'm saying is, I don't even think it's about secret. It's just about different levels of learning. Somebody who's studying PhD has no business talking with somebody who's just going in for BA, right? Studying BA. You got no business. Somebody who's just studying your GCSE from secondary school, you have no business talking with somebody who's doing their master's. And so the same with these things. So it is, the fear has come because of the outside perception.
I'll just make a modern day comparison to that. So possibly the person who asked the question will understand that in your workplace, when you are employed, you go through interview, you've been, accepted into that job, you go through job training, you have your orientation phase for possibly 3-6 months, or some places 1 year. Even when you're there, depending on the level of your position, whether you're just a regular staff, middle level management and all of that, that's the level of security access you'll have to the company's software and security and all of those things. If you go into the FBI, you're just not going to go into the FBI and then they give you a security badge to enter the White House just like that. So it's the same with the mask. So the secrecy, you might want to say, but the secrecy is what makes it what it is. So you have to go through that route to learn what it is and to understand, because it's not just something you can just play with around like that. So
look,
I just wanted to,
okay, you're right, but let us take church. Let's just take mosque. Is every Muslim go into the place where the imam goes and stands? Is it every Muslim? No, definitely not. If you go to Saudi Arabia, you will realize there are places where they will tell you, sorry, you can't come here. This is only for the mu'mins or the big imams that they want to come here. But also, not everywhere they allow the women to go into. There are places where they say women must not go. So you have that as well. You go into the church, it's the same thing. It's not everywhere you go to the Vatican. They have their own secrecy. They have their own levels. So I'm simply saying as well that as an African people, we also have our own sacredness, where we say there are certain areas where you're not ready to go. And if you're not ready to go, why go there and cause problem for yourself? But the outside influence, whether it's the Europeans or even the Arabs, when they came in, they, in their way of thinking, do not value what we have. They think they should just get on anywhere they want, and if not, it is considered evil. I can give you an example of Prempeh I, when he was being attacked by the British for the golden stool, which is considered sacred for the Ashanti people. That man stood up and fought against the British people until he surrendered himself, and then he was sent to exile. Just think about that. A king, and these people came and they took him, and just because of his stool, and they sent him to exile. And then a woman stood up, Ya Asantwa. She stood up. You see, again, like I said, there's so many things I could go into, but I'm not going into it yet. But the woman in Ghana, among the Ashanti, it is the Queen Mother who appoints the Asante Hene. She stood up. Ya Asantwa, if many of you do not know, check her out. She stood up and fought against the British and says this golden stool is not going nowhere. She herself was eventually captured and then exiled, but the British never got the golden stool. Why shouldn't we have something sacred when other cultures do? I've been to India and I've seen their own sacred stuffs that they have, which you're not necessarily allowed to go in there. Now, I want to make a distinction. Again, I'm going well beyond the remit here. There's a distinction between what you call occult and what you might call like spirituality. It's a big distinction. An occult asks for body parts. An occult asks for body parts. And that's a different thing altogether. But when I'm talking of spirituality here, I'm talking of us engaging in that which is also our essence. But it's like having technologies, where you have one technology that is old and outdated, and you have another one that is new and fine. And Christians will say to you, the new spiritual technology is Jesus. That contains everything, one go, boom. And the Muslims will also say their own modern day technology is Islam, is the prophet, and that is how it goes, and that's fine. But in Africa, we also have our own way of looking at things. If I were to show you the African man who did the brain surgery many years ago in broad daylight, what would we say? Would we call him a witch doctor, or would we say he's a pioneer in brain surgery?
Right.
Perceptions. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
I'm going to ask Tiboy to come in quickly, but again, Solomon is still going back and forth with us, which is fine. It's very engaging. Says, but comparing Mickey Mouse and our own African mask, I think if we're gonna make it fearful and secret, how can we attract the monetary value we are talking about here, sir? I know you're gonna.
Please, I'll answer that quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
It's simple.
Yeah.
We've got certain masquerades that are sacred.
Mm-hmm.
We also have masquerades that are for entertainment.
Right.
Whether it is jolly and so on. We also must understand Mickey Mouse and us. Mickey Mouse does not come close to the depth that we have with our masquerades. Therefore, or not all of our masquerades you can put for, say, just for entertainment value, because they're not all like that. You understand? Wherever you go. But we do have masquerades that are entertainment value. Gongoli is one of them. Jolly is another one of them. Okay, boy, yes, they are all part of it. So we have a lot. This is what I'm saying, that we need to dig deep and have these discussions, and the questions you're asking, they are so pertinent, because we need to be looking at this. What then can we put as a package? And we have them. We just got to look a little bit and we'll find them.
For me, the symbolism, if we're coming back to the African, the Black Bondo Mask, the African woman, it's not just anything. It's something that we relate with. It symbolizes a lot. And it's something that brings community together. It's something that brings people together. It's something that protects and secure that community and those people. Because when you have things in common, you think the same way, you act the same way, you obey the same rules and regulations. You're not allowed to go outside the norm. So you still stay within that, what society, what that particular culture is promoting, to make sure everybody stays together and be everybody's keeper. Over to you, T-Boy.
I think I've been patiently listening to all this interesting conversation. I think the most important thing that is this whole topic is all about is silence. And when you silence someone, it means you've cut off the facts that you don't want them to speak, regardless whether they are right or whether they are wrong. And the whole idea of the secret society behind the mask that makes it so fearful, the reason why it is black and all that stuff, I think we have to look on the other side of the coin. When you flip it, it's head, the other side of it is tail. So basically what is happening on the other side, I will give a typical example of Freemasonry. And wherever there is Freemasonry in Sierra Leone or wherever in the world, you don't even know what building is actually being used for that particular operation. Right. And if you know the building, when you walk past that building, the way they've made it so fearful, you don't even have the right to look at the doors, either the building itself. That's one. Two, you've never seen the doors of that particular building being open. Why? Have we ever questioned it? Have we ever asked anything about why is there so much fright about that particular building? Have we tried to investigate it? I've never seen anyone who came from nowhere talking about, I want to find out what is the whole thing behind Freemasonry. I mean, the English, they knighted you, they call you sir. You know what protocol of ceremony is that? Traditionally, when we are crowned to go to our traditional beliefs back in Sierra Leone, I am a Konoman. There will come a time when, because we came from a warrior type background, they knight us. Our grandfather, great-grandfather was a warrior, and he was a fighter using the sword. So when we want to perform any traditional ceremony in Kono, in my village, we'll bow down and they will knight us. You know what that means? It means a lot. And we've talked so much about the black mask. For me, anything that is black is safe. It is safe for you because you never get hurt. Somebody will never harm you when you're in the dark because nobody can see you. You travel at night, you're safe. Nobody can see you. So basically, the whole idea behind the concept of the mask to me is symbolic. Just like the examples that you guys have made about the beauty of it and the comparison of you pretty like a Bondo Devil mask, you get cut neck like a Bondo Devil, you are like Gongoli, you find like Mami Wata. These are all things that we really, really, really want to talk about because it's all about empowering women. I mean, back in the days, people have sat down create an image out of a wood with no shape. But as Usifu said earlier on, these are things that people glamorize in the West. They collect them. They are collectibles. I was a bit shocked when I went to the Honeyman Museum 15 years ago with my child. And I was thinking we're going to a museum for birds, different types of bird species. I was rather shocked, extremely shocked. In one specific corner of that particular museum that is meant for birds, I saw a shelf of African masks. And to be amazed, majority of those masks are Bondo Mask. So if we are saying these are not stuff that we should be talking about, I think we are actually making a big mistake as Africans. I think today is actually one of the days that we've told the African story in depth.
Mm-hmm.
As we are saying to ourselves, African stories being told by Africans. We should not be scared to ask questions. I mean, we're talking about all this, but we are failing to bring in one simple thing, which is diversity. We are being, sometimes people, I want to make another typical example. When I mention diversity, we always turn to white people and say to them, you are racist. You should not fly the Union Jack. You should not talk about English. So many stuff. Yes, I understand that concept. Sometimes it's very emotional. Sometimes it's not meant to be spoken about. But guess what? If we can practice our culture, why won't we allow other people to practice theirs? And the English culture is just basically what they want to portray. If you're not actually threatening me to leave, you're not bringing in any form of racism to me. You're just telling me this is my culture. I'm proud to put my flag at the back of my window to let you know that I am British or I am English. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I woke up this morning and I saw a picture with a message that says, I am practicing my culture today because my ancestors were not allowed to practice it. That means a lot. So I find it very not challenging, not embarrassed, not unfortunate, but I find it very interesting for somebody who has gone to my background, as in my backyard, and telling me how my backyard is made of, and I have lived there for my entire life. And you're telling me what you should and should not do. Another typical example, I asked a few of my friends a couple of weeks ago, what will you do to your child if your child tells you, Daddy, I want to do this, I want to do that? And I said to them, my child will not do anything in my house if he's under my control. Oh, you shouldn't say that. Why? It is illegal. You're just harming your child. It's child abuse. I said, okay, hold on a sec. So if you say to yourself, my child should be allowed to do anything that they want because we live in the West, okay, fine, no problem. So what if your child walks to you and say, oh, Daddy, I am 12. I want to put tattoo on my arm. I want to put tattoo on my chest. What would you say to them? Oh, and then they goes, over my dead body. I'm like, oh yeah, over your dead body? Okay. So when that child turns 20, will it still be over your dead body? So what I'm trying to say is the mask has a symbolic meaning. If we scared ourselves from actually talking about it, then we will not passing on that knowledge to our kids for them to know the value of that mask. Because all they know about that mask is evil, evil, and evil. We used to have that mask in our living rooms. I would say 20, 30 years back ago in Sierra Leone. But guess what? It doesn't exist anymore. It is not even being seen in Sierra Leone. It is like a taboo to even own a Bondo mask. Can you imagine that? So it's totally and entirely going to be wiped out of our generation. There will be a generation that will not see that mask anymore. The only way they can find it will be either in books or in European museums, because we cannot even preserve our own that we have in Sierra Leone, for example.
Right.
So it is very scary when we talk about the whole idea of culture and the symbolism of the mask to women empowerment, because everything that relates to that mask is female empowerment. How it now differs, that is another broader spectrum of what we're talking about. So basically, I just want to say the discussion of the mask today as a symbol of female empowerment, to me, I think is one that we should really, really try to embrace and look beyond it, not just what people are saying about it, which are just a negative. There are so many negatives in everything that we do, but we have to find out what are the norms and the non-norms that we can actually see and benefit from. So to me, I think we need to look at it and possibly have a part 2 of this, because I think it's more to talk about. I think the reason why we are now like rushing it is because of the timing. But I think we should have a part 2 of this, Mr. Jalloh, and see how we can explore with this a little bit more in some of the areas that we possibly haven't touched.
All right. Thank you so much, Chibo. I appreciate that very much. Always you bring in a twist to things that we, do not look at. More so mentioning the Freemason, society or whatever you call it, or Debul or culture. So let me go to Femi quickly. I know he came prepared, so he can say his few words and then would leave Yusuf to round up with parting words for today, and then hopefully we'll get him back to continue this conversation. Over to you, Femi.
Hello, Juma. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Okay.
First of all, I made loads of notes, but I don't think I'll be able to go through them all. As I said before, we're going to learn a lot. I have learned a lot. I have been reminded of things that I know, that I take for granted, that I keep forgetting. So I would like to, first of all, thank Usifu for all the hard work he's done. And more important, I'd like to thank him for the resilience he showed when he was approached by those two ladies. I followed some of the comments. I was going to jump in, but I saw that he was handling it very, very well. So I let him be. And, all he kept on saying to them was, you don't understand what we're going to talk about. If you want to know more, join the conversation. Come be part of the conversation. And, in looking at that, today he's told us what the conversation is. If our eyes were closed, if we had forgotten, I think Usifu has helped remind us and open up our eyes. I would like to say one thing. He touched on something that he said a few things that I thought, wow, we don't get taught this in school. Africa is possibly the oldest continent that human beings lived in. We have such a rich history, but when we learn history at school, there's absolutely nothing there. And that's a shame. Our forefathers maybe have a little bit of blame there, but I believe that most of the blame lies with the ones who colonized us, because they helped reshape our history and told it from their point of view. The times I started to learn more about my culture was, okay, my parents helped. They helped a lot. They helped open my eyes. But then when I got curious, the only place I could go to, because the internet wasn't there like it is now, I had to go to museums. I had to open encyclopedias. And I found out, and I read and I read and I read loads of stories that were never taught to me at school. And, for me, that's a shame. I was born in Sierra Leone. My early years were in Sierra Leone. And, for even Sierra Leone, the small country that it is, has a rich history. And we were taught very little of that history in school. For me, that's a shame. If we want to do something for our children and our children's children, we need to be able to tell our own stories. We need to tell them, to open their eyes and to know what the truth is. Because, as we say, African stories are told by Africans. If we listen to other people telling our stories, they'll tell it from their own point of view. Somebody once said to me, if Germany had won the war, how would history have written the last century? You know, we need to look at that. The winner or the person who has power doesn't necessarily have to have a weapon to kill you. Just by miseducating you, they're killing you and they're killing your offspring. So I think we need to learn stuff like that. One of the last points I want to bring in, Usifu mentioned nature. I've always believed that nature is a living being. You know, we look at it, we trap nature, and nature always finds its way out. You know, we build dams, you know, we block water. What happens? Flood happens, you know. We have landslides because nature is trying to find its way out to become what it was before. You know, when the sun is very, very, very hot, what happens? It rains to cool us down. You know, our body, when we sweat, it's our body is trying to cool our temperature down because it realizes that we're too hot. So there's many things that we have to learn from nature, and I believe that science, with all the goodness that science has done, has blocked its eyes on what nature actually is and what nature can do for us. So sometimes I think that we need to look back at our forefathers that didn't have the knowledge that maybe modern science has. But as somebody said earlier on, we survived for donkey years and we keep surviving. You know, from when that sperm is cast, it's fighting a battle. That one sperm has to fight 1 million sperms to make a baby. When that baby is born, or before that baby comes to this world, that baby and the mother goes through certain things that, you know, could endanger both their lives. The baby is born into a world that we're in today. We know how dangerous it is, especially for people of our color. So from before we're born, we're fighters, and we'll fight till the day we die.
Right.
So again, one last thing, as I said, for me, nature is a living being, and Mother Nature is definitely a living being.
Right. So we talk, thank you so much, Femi. We talk about climate change today. The environment is being destroyed. So when you mess with Mother Nature, you face destruction, you face all the horrible things. So when you mess with the African woman, you know you have a heavy price to pay. So over to you, Usifu Jalloh. I know there are questions coming in, but we'll not have time for those now. Go ahead and round it up, sir.
I want to round up, and first of all, but I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being patient and staying with us for as long as you've stayed with us. And just to make a point, as soon as I finish this discussion, I will be on another performance to some clients in China. And I'm going to be working with some schools in China from 12 midnight tonight. And it will go until about 3 a.m. In China, they want to know about this very culture that we are taking for granted in Sierra Leone and in Africa. And so you see, I feel that while I am spending time and they are paying me from China to share my culture, I would love to be able to share my culture like this. You see, they would not see it, or they would not be paying me to share it to their children in their schools, primary and secondary schools, if they do not see the value of this very culture that some of us are taking for granted. Open you yaide, open you yaide, open you yaide, ulukama. Open you yaide, open you yaide, open you yaide, ulukama. Oh. And the only way I'll round up my people is again by repeating what our elders say. Know yourself, not to curse. Not good advice. To know yourself, it's not a curse, it's good advice. A worm does not seek to be a millipede. A pigeon is not interested to be an eagle. The worm just wants to be the best of a worm it can be. The pigeon just wants to be the best of a pigeon it can be. And so the eagle wants to be the best of eagle it can be. As Africans, we must strive to be the best that we can be as Africans. And that is all I will say for you today. Opi yaide, opi yaide, opi yaide, oh, Lukama.
Thank you so much, Usifu Jalloh. We appreciate you as always, for taking us through that journey. So you will be in car with a closed mind. Hopefully, by the end of this program, your mind go to open small. And you wake up with an open mind. I hope you don't learn something new where you go share with your family, friends, neighbors, and everybody around the world. Let we ready for learn, let we research, and let we accommodate people their opinions then. The only thing we have for say T-Boy and Femi, I dey suspect Yusuf, because you see now I don't begin afraid. The reason being, Trade will be say the lapa, the cotton are for poor people left. Until we begin see China, they manufacture the Ankara now, it don't become a global business. So if we see them, we condemn the Black Bondo Mask. Now, the next step, we'll go see China begin manufacture their own Bondo Mask. Like how we don't begin see Chinese pastor the way they do African that kind church. You understand what I mean? That church where they collect collection, so you see that. I hope Tibo and Tuna talk on a mark this one year, so possibly by next year we will begin see the Black Bondo Mask chef. They're going.
But if as that don't begin sell Pamine, they don't begin sell Bunga, they don't begin sell Kuta, well, Tesco don't begin sell them as well. Now Marks and Spencer, now actually they reach now Marks and Spencer, so the package.
The mask they tell you I do.
No, the package is different now. So basically, we're not for like the wait again, because it will happen soon.
Yeah,
definitely.
So Famulem, thank you so much. We appreciate you join we. We glad you would have left at a lighter note, and but it's a food for thought. It's something serious. When I join we again tomorrow on Thursday on the health show, we talk about I still forget this cancer also. I don't know if now we get for do demand there. Femi, remind me again, please.
Prostate cancer.
Prostate cancer. So tomorrow prostate cancer we talk about, and Tuesday we did live on Zooming in with Cherno Alpha Ember. It will can talk to we about issues we get for do with salon and corruption. So don't forget Gem Media na a place where for day all the time, and we apologize for the late starts today, because we missed the timing small, and secondly, T-Boy forget for poor libation, so technology we want for bad at we, but thank God we pull through. Until tomorrow, we say theta, good night, and God bless you now all, and let's stay positive in our homes.
Our aim is to teach our pupils to be creative, critical thinkers, to be innovative, and to become the new entrepreneurs of Sierra Leone and Africa, moving the African continent beyond the 21st century.
Jobs are going to change. The nature of work is going to fundamentally change.
We realize companies are starting to hire on skills and not degrees.
Currently, I'm a self-taught coding beginner. I develop websites and basic applications. I've been interested in science and technology since I was 11. An up-to-date STEM lab gives us what we need, the tools, motivates us to do more.
The Scholarship and Innovation Working Group from Old Boys Association has been working with both Reverend Canon Ken Davis and Canon Lashite to see how they can increase science and STEM at the school.
STEM is important because pupils can learn how to solve real-world situations and pursue careers in web development, artificial intelligence, robotics, chemical engineering, and the sky is the limit to what a pupil can do.
So a vision for the future entails computing capability that would create a STEM innovation lab to provide all students with practical, engaging, and self-learning opportunities to gain digital skills.
One of the use of the microbit is to test for science experiments. In the case of agricultural science, we want to test for the soil. You can download the information about the type of soil on your computer, and then you take the microbit, download the information on the microbit.
STEM gives us the knowledge, gives us the capacity. With the science, the technology, engineering, and mathematics, it helps you to be able to prepare for the future, to be able to earn your place in the future workplace.
The coding club is new, and we only have a few members for now. And very soon we will have a big coding club.
Let us give the young people the tools to become critical minerals or miners of their thoughts and ideas that will develop our countries, and also for them to play their part in creating a conceivable world.
All donations are appreciated, and all funds raised will go towards the development, implementation, and management of this first of a kind digital STEM lab in Sierra Leone. Sierra Grammar School, empowering students for tomorrow's world.
When I was young, a lot of things were different. Unfortunately, most of the differences seen now are heartbreaking and are not good at all.
Before now, men were strong protectors of the weak, fathers, brothers, lovers, sons. Their mere presence guaranteed the safety of women and children.
But what do we do now?
Men harassing and raping women.
Men sexually abuse little girls.
Men battering and killing their wives.
Any form of sexual assault, be it rape, sexual abuse, or pedophilia, is a killer to human self-esteem.
Women should stop dying in silence.
Speak now.
The rapist should be stigmatized, not the victim.
I think death sentence should be the consequence of such terrible act.
And you mothers, build confidence in your children, put trust in them, listen to them when they make reports, and take necessary actions.
Talking of mothers before now, women were virtuous.
They were mothers, daughters, and sisters.
Nurturing, counseling, supporting their men folks.
But now, women are trafficking female children for money. Women are forced to be silenced.
All this must stop, and it must stop now.
Real men do not abuse, rape, or molest women and children.
It is barbaric, unacceptable.
Let all real men stand with us.
Together, let's say an emphatic no to rape, sexual abuse, pedophilia, and domestic violence.
Of all the crimes committed against a person, rape is the one that leaves a person feeling very violated. A rape victim is often left with the feeling that a part of them has been torn apart.
To use another person's body and ignore the soul that resides within is one of the most outstandingly shocking crimes that one person can commit against another.
Some men harass and rape their women.
Some men sexually abuse underage girls.
Some men beat and kill their wives.
Any form of sexual assault is unacceptable.
There must be consent before you act.
Being in a relationship is not consent.
If they are not sober, they can't consent.
Flirting is not a consent.
We had sex before is not consent.
Silence is not consent.
Only an informed, sober, freely given, ongoing and enthusiastic yes is consent.
Women should stop dying in silence.
A man does not become a real man by physically dominating a woman. A man becomes a real man by loving, protecting, and respecting the woman.
Real men do not rape or abuse women and children.
Let all real men stand with us. And together, let's say no to child abuse, no to domestic violence, no to all forms of rape, being it spousal rape, intimate partner rape, child sex abuse, statutory rape, date rape, serial rape, and gang rape.
We must rise up against this ugly trend. Justice for one, justice for all.
All sexual assault must stop, and it must stop now.
I was raped multiple times by my aunt's boyfriend when I was 6.
I was repeatedly raped at the age of 8 by a close family member.
I was raped at 19. I didn't speak openly about it because I was ashamed and afraid that people would judge me.
I was raped at age 5 by my caregiver's husband.
On June 17th, 2020, 5-year-old Khadija Sakho, a beautiful little girl from Freetown, Sierra Leone, was repeatedly raped and strangled to death, allegedly by her own cousin. Her death shocked the nation. But in truth, in this small West African country, 9 out of 10 girls experience some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. Think about that for a second. 9 out of 10. That's 90%. My name is Aisha Sase. I'm a journalist and activist. I'm joining forces with Idris Elba and other activists from across Sierra Leone to support the survivors of sexual violence with the Survivors Solidarity Fund. Please consider donating whatever you can afford. All monies raised will go to 4 local organizations currently providing free medical and legal services to survivors. 5-year-old Khadija lost her life to sexual violence. That same threat remains for millions of others. So this is also a call for you to use your voice, your power, to draw attention to an enduring culture of rape. Together, we must end it now. My name is Aisha Sase. I am Khadija Sakho.
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 We are Khadija Sakho.
We are all Khadija Sakho.
Silverstone Beats.
People killing, people dying, children hurting, hear them crying. You can practice what you preach, or would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us, send some guidance from above. People got me questioning, where is the love?
See this life going evil, we all have to give, oh yeah, yeah. Cause all I see is evil, and too much killing of my people, yeah, yeah. So let's
me, I don't see. This can't seem where they happen. This not for be education opportunity. Now in we need, let we learn for the share, not to attempt for big greed.
You see this life, the leave, you see where we lose or we know. Stop killing one another. Let's stand together, yeah. Stop playing the hero, looking at each other like was zero. On the block with a C, money they can make every day pan pre, yeah.
Outright beat, they took our boys, they take our joy, take our joy. This study time we stop now crime. Don't blind by this life, your future.
Stop the stabbing, stop the killing. Let's love one another. Peace.
I see fighting every day, I see dying every day. Why don't we help each other and pave the way for a better life, a life that we all deserve? Instead of killing each other, why don't we preserve? So you wanna be a bad man, he's gonna be a badder man. You got a big knife, he's gonna get a bigger knife. Our people suffered for years in chains. Now we turn on each other, cut for gains. For the ones that send the youth to kill themselves, you pretend to be a father figure but only care for yourself. You are nothing but the flesh of the devil. You're evil, low life on another level. Think about the mothers and the pain they go through. You don't care for these kids, they mean nothing to you. But karma only knows the boomerang maneuver. One day the green reaper will be your remover.
This head of the range ranting up some sanctimonious food is as poetic verses, ruminate a prophecy given to a sentient dude. So I say it's at ease for you to listen and deduce the wisdom that's gonna liberate and galvanize you. Under the sun ain't nothing new, that for black on black crimes and breaking news. Under the sun ain't nothing new.
You gotta stand up. Stand up for what you believe in. Gotta stand up. Stand up for what is right. 'Cause if you got me, then I got you too. Regardless of what you've been through, even when you're feeling new. Do this if we try. There's no time to waste no time. Together forever, whatever the weather. Us as a unit working together.
See, I did not love done, but me heart still at home. God don't lift me up, but me heart still at run. You will never go far if you don't know where you're from. So I don't do it for myself, I'ma do it for the young. Please to my brothers, let's do it for the youngers. Why spend a bag on a jumper? Back where you're from, people dying with hunger. We people then they suffer. You then I argue the bluff, it's copper. You're the game need for change. Let we not get soft. Where's the love? Where's the love, yo? Where's the love? I said,
where is the love? Little youth, let's take time. Stop all the knife and the gun crime. Think of the future, paint that picture. Get a youth in the future. Peace gonna rain on me. Peace gonna rain on me. Yeah.
Let's stop the violence and come together. Get rid of knives and guns and bombs, let's be together. Pray peace and love, golden hopes through storm and weather. See what is going on. Where is love?
Tell me, how do you feel when you see your brothers and sisters lying down the street helplessly? And what will you do if you die today and find yourself in hell?
I want to ask you this. Look inside your eyes and answer me with all the truth. Where you get, whose side the love they?
When I left. Boku man them get nef. If you live by the nef, you go suffer. You know get sense, you know sabi say nef not for butter. Stabbing guys, yeah that's uncool. When it comes to knives, yeah I'm anti. What happened to fighting guys with your hands, G? When you stab a man, it's not one man you stab. Just remember that you stab a whole family.
People killing, people dying, children hurt and hear them crying. You can practice what you preach, or you will turn the other cheek. Father, 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 help us, send some guidance from above. People got me questioning, where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? The love, the love. Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? The love.
talk about burning issues ranging from politics to the economy, culture to sport, education to entertainment, corruption to the environment, we realize the Sierra Leone story is far from finished. So, Sierra Gem Media Production brings you Zoom In. Zooming In is the program that engages everyday people, entrepreneurs, inventors, entertainers, activists, policymakers, and politicians to discuss and debate issues relating to Sierra Leone. Zooming In digs deep into the issues and stories. Zooming In ensures the debate is pushed to another level. Zooming In asks those questions that has never been asked before. So, join us, host Chumaba.
Yes, this na term for all Salon people and them party them. Sierra Gem Media will be bringing you a variety of programs ranging from documentaries to discussions, interviews, news, views, sports, and entertainment. Our programs will contain matters on development, governance, the economy, and issues that are of importance to Sierra Leone. So, no left BNO because we get Bebe program then like Salon discussion, meets the ministers, the President's Hour, and the Gladi program. Look me, I look you. All this they start soon na www.sarahgemmedia.org. Now who's term these? Somebody.